Hi, it's Jane, and I understand there's something going on called Vlogmas this year. We all know it's every year. Anyway, I thought that we'd start out by doing a little talking and knitting today. So let me get this started, okay? First of all, Monday, I forgot to show you my acquisitions. I did get a big twist in black. As you know, I was asked to do some mittens, so I've got everything together to start, so I'll be starting those this week. Now, I was at Ollie's because I go to Ollie's because they have a particular flavor of Gain detergent that I like a lot. And it's a cheaper price, and my Walmart doesn't carry that flavor. And normally I do a lot of shopping at Walmart because it's cheapest in the place. And I will tell you now, I don't really care about their DEI policy because I see them hiring all kinds of different people of different ethnicities. So, I'm not worried about that. But while I was at Ollie's, I found they had this blanket yarn, the Burnett Blanket Ombre yarn. They had a gray color, and then they had this color, which is, of course, they put the sticker over the name of it. Let me see if I can get the sticker off. Probably blue, because I'm seeing what looks like azure underneath part of the label. Should have done this before I got on here, shouldn't I? Oh well, sometimes we're not thinking ahead of times. Looks like it says shades of blue. That's exactly what it says, shades of blue ombre. And that is exactly what it is. It's absolutely gorgeous. I had thought about making maybe a couple of plushies for the Operation Christmas Child. So I thought, well, I'll start with this yarn. As many of you know, I don't like the feel of this yarn on my hands. But for some reason, this isn't so bad today. It isn't giving me the creepy ooh feel. I know some of you don't understand that, but some of you will understand it. My mother always teased me that she thought I might be sort of autistic on the higher end of it, but who knows, maybe I am. I do know that there are certain things that I cannot stand the feel of, and they just give me icky vibes, and I don't like feeling them. Which one of you, most of you know, I do not care for homespun or something that I call hellspun. It's the texture of it. And not only the texture, but you can't see stitches when you're working with it. So, anyway, I did purchase this. I believe it was $4.99 or $3.99. I don't remember exactly. But that's a pretty good price for this. You get 10.5 ounces. And it looks like there's 220 yards. So I have no idea how much of a plushie I'll be able to get out of it, but I'm willing to just give it a good try. All right, so let's get on to the knitting. You've seen where I'm doing my, I am actually working on the sleeves, and I do them 2 at a time because I'm a wimp. But one of the things is in this pattern it has a certain row count that you follow. And I use one of these poppets. I got this one from Dollar Tree. You know, $1.25, and it has a little notepad on the back. And I realized, you know, the notepad drives me crazy, so I think maybe I'll be cutting that off anyway. But I've numbered each one of those pops in there. And while you're doing the sleeve, you have a certain row pattern that you're following. So what I do is when I get to that, and this is for the decreases on this part of the sleeve, I just get to that. So I'm on number 3, so I'm going to move that up. You know, you push them in, and then when you come back through, you push them up the opposite way, and that's what I use this poppet for. And I really do enjoy using it. So what can I say? I'm a girl of convenience. And because row counters drive me nuts, because when you're doing, you know, repeat rows 1 through 4, 5 through 6, you know, that kind of thing, you really have to keep track of the rows. You know, if you're following the row pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, and each row is a different pattern. If you're using row counters, you have to either clear it each time, start over, or be able to remember that once you go through 1 through 4, then your next rows would be 5 through 9 or whatever it is. And that makes me crazy. So sorry about that. Had a bit of a coughing spell. I am so ready for this 100-day cough to be gone. I mean, it just attacks. There's no rhyme or reason to when I get a coughing fit. And it's not like I have anything to bring up because I don't have any phlegm or anything. So, I just wish it would go away. I wish it would last less than 100 days. That's what I'm saying. So anyway, as I was saying, that's how I work this. Now this sweater pattern is by Mama in a Stitch. And let me see what she calls it. I think it's my comfy knitted sweater. Of course, I can't find the first page when I need it, right? It is the comfiest cardigan. My comfiest knitted cardigan. So that's what I am making. And this is one that I started probably before I moved into the house. I'm not even sure. And I had thought about ripping it out, and then I decided, nope, I am going to finish it. I would like some more cardigans, sweaters, those kind of things. My church, when we go to church, it's on the cooler side. So there's a good reason to have sweaters. Every service I am wearing a sweater. And they do that. Part of it is this church was originally an auto wholesale parts store. And they converted it to a church. It is a beautiful church. But this church also has no real storage for things. So that is the stumbling block to this church. But other than that, and because of the warehouse and, you know, how high the ceilings are, it tends to stay cooler longer. Even though they have one of those lovely vented systems, you know, that when the heat turns on, they expand and blow out warm air. But it's still a little bit cooler. I think they probably keep it at about 70, somewhere between 69 and 70 degrees at all times. And if you're in the church when it's not really being used, then most of the church is not heated. The part that is heated is the where the pastors are at, and where they are working and counseling with people and secretary, that kind of thing. Of course, I believe she also has a heater, one of those plug-in heaters where she's at. I might not be correct on that. I should ask her. But other than that, it's a little cooler area. And we have another round of people that are pregnant and due pretty soon. So I also need to get some sweaters made, either crocheted or knitted. I prefer the knitted sweaters. And I also prefer white, but I know a lot of people nowadays aren't into the white for babies. But I think all babies need a white sweater. That's just me personally. And I've started putting out a few Christmas decorations. As you can see, I put my wreath up behind me. And then I have a little gnome. Can't see it well. But I have a little gnome wooden feature. Little critter that sets up stand. I don't know if I'll decorate the rest of the house, that kind of thing. Just kind of depends. I might decorate the table a little bit. Who knows? We'll see. I do have a Christmas tablecloth that I'm going to put up there. Put on the table, so, Right now what I have on there is a white one with some lavender on it, and it's more of a spring. And I'm kind of slow to get tablecloths, those kind of things. Even though I can make them, I just don't get into making them. But, yeah. I caught the news this morning. I didn't catch it yesterday, where Biden pardoned his son, gave him clemency for anything illegal that he may have done starting 2014, which I thought was rather interesting. But of course, that's when he was doing all the stuff with Ukraine, Burisma, and getting kickbacks and stuff like that. Even after he said he wouldn't pardon him, he pardoned him. And I do find it ironic that it was his Justice Department that brought all the charges against him for everything that had happened. So, yeah, I just find that interesting. But it is what it is, and I would imagine that we'll be seeing him also pardon his brother and a couple of other people that were in his cabinet, and or Obama's cabinet that did some things that a lot of us consider illegal, where they got kickbacks and things like that. So I expect to see some of those coming up before he leaves office as well. And, that is one of the things the president can do. But I did find his statement rather interesting. I guess he felt that Justice Department was practicing lawfare against him, against his son, to embarrass him. How would that embarrass him, other than the fact that he was part of the scheme? So, I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is. I've also been keeping up with, I have a couple of friends who go down to North Carolina on a frequent basis, bringing different supplies and things like that. And, right now they're pushing for coats, winter wear for these folks. I think they're expecting a big amount of snow in the next couple of days. So I hope that people will continue to keep them in their thoughts and prayers, and also help donate where you can. If you know somebody that's going down taking supplies, consider taking advantage of some of the sales that you'll see for different coats, all sizes, infant all the way up to adults. So just keep that in mind. There was one year that we were invited with the Kiwanis Club to help provide Christmas items for a family and whose mother had passed away, and the father was dealing with some renal disease and couldn't really work, those kind of things. And family, DCFS was trying to keep them together. So, we were participants in that, my husband and I. We had both gone to the casino the weekend before we were invited, and we had both won quite a big sum of money. So we chose to take that money and to buy different things for the family. And that was back when Kmart was around. And Kmart always had a lot of items that were coats and things like that were anywhere between $10, $15 a piece. So we were able to buy coats for every one of the family members, jeans, shirts, all kinds of things like that. And, that was something that we felt led to do, and that's something that we did. So I hope if you're led to help out with these people that you would. But I also hope that you consider doing some letter writing to our officials, to our president, to all of our senators, to your local government, your state government. Not only that, but also North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia, as well as Florida's. Their representatives, their state governments, and their local governments, just to press upon them the need to provide for these people. FEMA is not stepping up the way that it should. They've told them that they have trailers available, and they're just sitting on lots. But they won't be handing them out until 2025, which honestly I think is horrendous, because we as taxpayers pay for those, and I think they should be handed out as they are given. I know that a lot of folks, we've had the Amish in there building tiny homes for those people, and I know that some of those people with those tiny homes, when they were told that they were not certified, they couldn't be, they weren't within code, whatever. The main reason that they aren't within code is because they're not on a solid foundation, many of them. And, the idea is that they need to be strapped down like trailers are, which is an easy fix. So if people who do understand that would go in and do that, I'm pretty sure that those homes would be approved by the states. But some of those families are choosing to live in tents instead of those tiny homes. And I would suggest this: they live in the tent when FEMA's around, but then they move into the tiny home when they're not. That's me, because survival is very important, and if your government is not willing to take care of you, step up in the way that they should, then you need to do whatever it is you need to do. There is also, that road that the West Virginia boys came in and fixed, paved, and, well, they didn't pave it with asphalt or cement, but they cleared it and they got it to where it is usable. It's a dirt road. It's just like any dirt road, but it'll have to be repaved anyway. But FEMA came in and put a fence across it so that people couldn't go in and deliver supplies and do those kind of things. So locals in that area tore down the fence. Now FEMA is talking about putting in a fence as well as guards, that kind of thing. And something needs to happen, because I don't think they understand the mindset of people who live in a survival area like that, who do things that most of us aren't willing to do. They will take those people out. They will give them a hard time and basically run them off. So we need to make our senators and stuff aware that this is still going on, that these people are in great need, and we need to shame Governor Cooper for what he did for those people. There was a $250 billion package that would have given these people hope and given them supplies and things that they needed. So we need to shame him for his action of vetoing it and make sure that those people get that money. And I'll tell you, I'm not above shaming that man. As you know, I lived in North Carolina for quite some time. I did some home health there. Even when I was working in Virginia, I did home health in the Appalachia area. And some of these people, like I've told you before, they have hardly anything. Yet, they feel very blessed with what they have. Some of them have dirt floors. Some of them don't have running water in the home. But they feel that they are blessed to live there in their places. So, let's give them the dignity and the needs and meet the needs that they have. So that's my big thing. That bothers me the most right now because it is getting so cold. So let's keep more of those folks from dying. And, I feel for those. There's quite a few videos around TikTok, YouTube, showing the things that are happening, like someone who's having their home bulldozed because it's basically gone. Can't be refurbished or renovated to live in, but they're still having to pay those mortgage payments. And now FEMA is canceling the hotel vouchers. I mean, it's shameful what our government is doing to our own people. Yet, lifting up others, like Ukraine and all those billions going that way when they are misusing those funds as well. And taking care of foreigners instead of taking care of your own people. All right, I'm going to get off the soapbox. So what are you planning for your Christmas season? Are you decorating your homes? What are some of the decorations you actually put out? Do you put up a tree? I know some of you no longer have little ones at home, and sometimes now your Christmas involves going to visit those little ones at their homes instead of them coming to yours. Do you still decorate your homes? Do you still get in that Christmas mood? Do you put up Christmas lights on the outside of your home? There's an area here that puts up Christmas lights. It's a whole neighborhood that does it. It's called Candy Cane Lane, and that's not actually the real name of this neighborhood, but they've kind of adopted that name because for many years people in the neighborhood decorate their homes, and I mean they go all out decorating those homes. So haven't been up to see the display. And then there's also a woman that lives off of 220 Sorry about that. That she decorates all of her driveway up to her home, including her home, on both sides with thousands of Christmas lights. And that is that is something she does every year. And she has a pond out there. They even decorate out in the pond. So it is an amazing light show. You can either walk it or drive up it. But you have to be careful of the people walking up the drive. So, you know, a lot of us that can't get out and walk that far actually choose to drive it. I could probably walk that far, but it's dark and I'd probably trip over something. And it's not really that dark because there's a lot of light from the display. But yeah, it's always beautiful to see. And it's always worth the drive, you know, out there for that Christmas scene. So, and I was invited this week to a Christmas sing-along in State College. It is put on by the Mormon Church, the Church of Latter-day Saints. So who knows, I might show up for that. If I do, I'll give you a little snippet of it. I know even the Christian radios that I listen to are playing a lot of Christmas songs, you know, which are fine, but I'm not quite ready. We're only in day 2 right now of this, so, and this is when I'm filming it. You'll see it tomorrow. But kind of worried about it. I think it's too soon for for a majority of the songs to be Christmas related. Of course, I'm one of those that I think that many of the many of the songs that we sing as Christians are basically Christmas hymns too, but a lot of other folks don't see it that way. Which, all right, I understand. Okay, I'll give you that. Get a drink. I found some caramel syrup, sugar-free syrup, that I had forgot that I bought probably about 3 months ago. So I'm putting that in my coffee for a nice little treat. Very delicious. Do you drink any different types of coffees? Do you like to mix up with different flavors in your coffee? I had a friend that was telling me about a coffee hack that she is doing. Now, this coffee hack supposedly does a lot of things, and I thought it was rather interesting. Basically, what she does in her coffee grounds in the morning, she sprinkles turmeric, cayenne pepper, black pepper, ginger, cinnamon, I think that was it, into the coffee grounds, makes her coffee, and then drinks that. And it's supposed to help with arthritis pain, also helps with weight loss. I don't know if that's true or not, but I thought it was rather interesting. And I thought, well, is it working? She says, I seem to think it is. So she's not sure if that's a placebo effect or if it actually is helping. But she was also telling me she had also heard that castor oil, and it has to be cold-pressed castor oil, can't remember what else. It's good for putting on your joints when you're having aching from arthritis. And she says it works for her. She said the only other thing she does at night is she will also put it up under her eyes here, and it helps with the puffiness. And I will tell you, she is looking a little thinner. So maybe it does work the way they say it is. I don't know if I would go for a whole pot of that. Maybe a cup. But do any of you do anything like that? I also have a friend that puts cinnamon in her coffee grounds or her coffee. Of course, cinnamon is supposed to be one of those things that helps with blood sugar control as well. So, and I think too many times we look for things that are medicinal chemicals to fix our health issues when we should be looking for things that are more of a natural base, you know. I had seen also a TikTok that I thought was rather interesting, supposedly for sore throats. And it was where you take iodine, antiseptic iodine, on a cotton swab. You take it across under your throat here, do it about 4 times, and then you do it up and down 4 times, and you repeat it, and supposedly that takes care of a sore throat. I haven't had a sore throat in a while, so I can't test that to see if it's true. But you never know, might work. And of course, there's a lot of people that are doing what they call the fire honey shots, which I don't remember what all is in that. So, don't quote me on that. You can also look it up. Supposedly, that's supposed to help your immune health to do one of those each day. And a lot of people swear by it, so who knows if it works or not. And I know the Amish have a lot of home cures that they use before they ever try any going to the doctor. And a lot of those take care of those issues. Some of those I think are all in their head. I think it's that placebo effect. But you never know. I know my mother, when we had a cold, there was one thing she stood by, and it was something her mother did when she was a kid, and it was to make onion tea. You boiled onions, you strained off the onions, and you kept the onion tea, as it will, and you would drink that when you had a cold, and it would take out your cold. Now there's also, this thing that goes around that if you leave onions out, like in a sick room where someone is sick, the onion will absorb all the illness, all the bad bacteria, those kind of things. I don't know, that might be true. Of course, there's also those where a lot of people will take sliced onions and put them on the bottom of their feet to draw out the cold or whatever illness they have. Have any of you tried those? Are any of you willing to try those? I know there's times I've been willing to do that, so. It was getting close to the camera cutoff time. So yeah, I've been willing to try some of those things in the past, and I don't know if this was psychological or if it actually worked. But when my mother would give us that onion tea, It did. Within a day, the cold was gone. So there may be some truth for that. I do know that I had neighbors. I had a baby that was colicky, and they gave the baby a nipple full of onion tea, and it took care of his colic. And we didn't have a problem with the colic again. So maybe that's because, my baby was afraid of being given onion tea. That was the joke among us kids, We wanted to avoid that. And I will tell you, I have always had trouble sleeping, even as a child, staying asleep all night. My mother at times, bless her heart, she would try to give me all kinds of things to make me sleepy. There was one time I was sick, not feeling good, and was up. I think it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and she thought, well, we didn't have any NyQuil. And she was pretty sure the thing in NyQuil that took care of everything was the alcohol and content. So, but she had some Morgan David elderberry wine. So she decided to give me a little sip of that. Well, come to find out, I had strep throat and it burned all the way down. And I was crying and screaming and woke up everybody because of how bad it burned. So my mother learned then not to give any of her kids alcohol, never knowing what it was. But I had a lot of earaches as a child. I still have a lot of ear issues. Also had a lot of strep throat. I at one point had scarlet fever, where the doctor came to visit me at home, did a house call, and because he didn't want it spread throughout the practice there. And there were times when, I had measles, I don't know how many times. I had the German measles once, and doctor made me come in through the back door, so as not to expose the rest of his clients to me. And he saw me in his office instead of taking me to an exam room. And the main concern there was the hearing, because German measles at that time was known to cause a lot of hearing loss. I don't know that I have any hearing loss. I do know that when my ears have a lot of fluid in them, that I don't hear as well. But the doctor has given me some nasal spray with prednisone in it to help take care of that. And generally the most that I have to use that is generally during when I'm having the worst allergy symptoms of each year. So like when the white oak is out there spawning, that's a really hard time for me. So I have to use it then, and then in spring when I'm out there cutting or weed eating, I have to use it. So yeah, it works. I'm not real thrilled with using it, but sometimes you do things just to take care of those issues. I've often thought about getting a neti pot, but I'm too chicken to try it, so. My husband Thomas had a neti pot, and he swore by it for his allergies, but like I said, I'm too chicken to try it. I hope that you have gotten all of your knitting and crochet done for your Christmas season. I also have a friend that is suffering from what her doctor called crochet elbow, which for most of us, it's basically either bursitis or tennis elbow. And she doesn't normally do a lot of things for pay. She rarely does it, but she had someone ask her to make that that sea blanket that has the like the sandy shore and it has the turtles on it. Dana of Dana's Wanderlust Crochet had done that blanket and done a I think she did a crochet along with it, if I remember correctly. But someone who asked her to make this is someone she loves a great deal. She also loves the person that they're planning on giving it to. So she decided, yes, she would do that. And it's about half done, but she's finding that she's had a lot of pain. And so I've talked with her about what helped me when I had the tennis elbow. Because like I told her, I insisted on crocheting during that time. I said one of the things I chose to do was learn to crochet left-handed. Although I don't recommend that since she's halfway done through the blanket because it will change her tension. I said the other thing is I wore one of those tennis elbow braces, but it was a tennis elbow brace that had a small bump on it, is the best way I can talk about it, but it was one where you placed it on that nerve that is trapped and causing so much pain, and you would wear it throughout the day, even when you're crocheting. And I told her the other thing that I did is I would wear a wrist brace at night, and that helped quite a bit, as well as the exercises. And she said to me, well, my doctor had said that I could do physical therapy. And I said to her, consider that because the physical therapist will massage that nerve. And I told her, I said, it's going to be painful when it's being done, but it will help release that nerve. They will also use the, heat packs or cold packs, whichever you prefer. And they will even use something that is like a TENS unit. It basically is a TENS unit to help heal that area, and as well as give you a lot of exercises and exercises with weights. She goes, with weights? I said, yeah, and they will help with that. And I do know that there are times that I feel like that tennis elbow is coming back, and there are many times that I will switch to my left hand to crochet, although it's a little slower. And but I will also do all of those things, including those exercises. And I have done the exercises and also continue to use the weights with those exercises to help. And I told her those exercises are vital for those of us that crochet and knit to do. It keeps our hands from the arthritis, but it also helps to do the stretching that is necessary, and it helps keep all of our joints and everything healthy. And some of these exercises, if you have ever had carpal tunnel, are the same exercises you do for, carpal tunnel after you've had the surgery for recovery for those things. So they're important to do, folks. So I hope that you are doing those, at least once or twice a week, if not on a daily basis, before you start crafting, any kind of crafting, I think. Even if you're diamond painting, think about what you're doing. You're holding that stylus in a hand like this, and you're putting pressure on the rest of your body, your wrists, your arms, your elbow, everything. So consider doing that even for those things. Even if you cross stitch or do embroidery. I know that it has helped also with my sewing, even though most of my sewing is machine sewing, but it does help with that. So those are some things to think about doing to avoid those kind of injuries. And of course, they're not always completely... What are you doing? He's over there scratching at the wall. It's not actually the wall, it's the side of the fireplace. Which I don't mind if he scratches on that. It's when he tries to scratch on the wall or he scratches on the furniture. And he's bad about it when he's bored. He's trying to get your attention. Can you see him back there? Now he's getting into the basket. He'll be walking along here in a second, I'm sure. He is such a cantankerous cat. He needs a lot of attention. At least he thinks he does. Izzy is just happy to be in your presence, although she does like being petted, and I do give him a lot of pets here and in between. And I do play with them, but apparently they think they need more play. So, thinking about getting one of those, I know you've seen them. It's one of those where the mouse goes in and out on a trail. I was thinking about getting one of those for him so that it would keep him occupied a little bit longer. Haven't decided yet if I'm going to do that or not, but it's on my wish list. It's on a think about getting, Jane. But they've been having fun with the birds because a lot of birds, I throw out birdseed out back for the birds often on the retaining wall. So the cats love seeing that because the birds will flock to the retaining wall. Then, of course, they'll fly off and the birds chase them back and forth all along that back wall. So at least that's a little bit of entertainment for them. At least I hope it is. In our area, we keep getting this notice that we're supposed to be getting snow. Luckily, the only thing we've seen are snow flurries, so that's a good thing. I'm glad about that. Don't really care for all that kind of snow, because along with it comes the dreaded clearing off the paths kind of stuff. But, oh well, part of the life, right? And of course, sometimes going down my road can be treacherous when there's, when there's been snow and it's ice packed. But for the most part, they do a pretty good job of clearing it. Although sometimes they're kind of lax about it. I notice many times during the fall when the leaves fall and it rains, they do nothing about the piles of leaf on the side of the road, which if any of you have driven through those can be pretty slippery. They can also act almost like ice. So, it's something to consider when you're driving down the road. If you're going to drive through a wet pile of leaves, slow down. Otherwise, you might wind up where you don't want to belong. Oh. We're getting along here, getting moved further on these sleeves. My hope is eventually to get to the point where I no longer have to decrease and just can work the straight stockinette pattern until they get long enough. Although I got a feeling that by the time I get to that stitch count for the part of the sleeve to stop, I'll be pretty close to the length that I need for my arm. I got short arms, guys. I'm short. So yeah, it'll be rather interesting. See how that works out, right? So, are you watching a lot of the Vlogmases around? I've been catching a few of them. I will not be doing them on a daily basis. I found that to be extreme. I do know that in the past I have done daily where I had planned on doing, where I'd done the crocheted knitted angels each day, and had shown you those angels, and had done a little bit of a blog to tell you where I was at, what I was doing. But that was planned months in advance, so I haven't got to that point where I'm planning months in advance. I have noticed that I don't have any calendars, and I'm not sure why. Normally, my insurance company sends out 2 or 3 calendars, and I haven't gotten a single calendar yet for the new year. I'm hoping it shows up eventually. I do use that calendar for tracking the videos that I'm putting out. Thinking about doing a different system, but we'll see how that works out. You know how it goes. Nose is itching. And I think I've talked long enough, so I'm going to let you go. And I will see you again probably next week for another Vlogmas video. May see you later on in the week for something else, just a chit chat. But if I don't see you in between now and Friday for what whip and coffee, then I hope you have a great week, and I hope all your dreams come true. All right, guys, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.